Hi, I'm Fleur Cordier, and I'm here at the Sterling Memorial Library at Yale University at the DiversAbility event where four different disabled storytellers share their stories.
So members of DAY, that's the acronym for DiversAbility at Yale, had the idea for a storytelling event in which members of the Yale community would share stories of how disability has impacted their lives.
I determine when to illuminate or not to illuminate. There are times when the switch can remain off. Times when I do not disclose of my disability, directly or indirectly. Times when I have forgotten I have a disability. Yet there are other times when I have to keep my hands on the switch and to be ready to turn it on in real time.
And how tough is it to be vulnerable and talk about your disability in front of a group?
I think it's challenging to be vulnerable for some individuals. I think if we overlay the workplace, so in the context of our conversation today, we're in the workplace. And I think workplaces haven't fully relaxed itself where there is a willingness to share and a willingness to hear and receive.
We're seated and the wait staff they put out water glasses in front of you, they hand out menus. So I look at my menu. That was gone. I was handed a brand menu. But at that moment, everything stopped.
There are different degrees of disability. There are different degrees of deafness. I'm a deaf person, and people's needs are unique. So it's not just a package.
People tend to judge a book by its cover. Can you tell me the challenges of an unseen disability?
I think with my disability, it is visual. I think people are misguided when they look from the outside and assume what it is. Nobody ever assumes that I'm missing an eye and that this eye is prosthetic. They'll think it's lazy. They'll think I have an eye turn. And those types of misconceptions lead to jokes and other things, but it also doesn't give you the full picture of what it's like to have my type of vision. So I think when people assume and go with that thought process, now you're missing what I actually need and how I actually have to live my life.
We felt that we did want to have an in-person component to it, that would help to support the storytellers and help to create a sense of community. Once we got to the point where we could do the in-person component, we also recognized that it's really important to have an online component as well. Not everybody who may be interested in participating or hearing the stories or being part of the audience who's engaged may be available to come in person or may want to come in person. So we're really trying to be mindful of that going forward to make our events as accessible as possible.
How tough is it to be vulnerable and talk about your disability in front of a group?
Okay, so I came in here completely confident, and then broke down at the podium. I think I became overwhelmed with this being my first time in this type of setting, sharing my disability. And I became overwhelmed with emotion, but not with sadness, more of I can't believe I'm doing this for the first time. Monica, you're kind of strong for doing this right now. So all of that is what came up today. So I really think it's beneficial to make telling your story a norm, because somebody needs to hear it.
Where there is a willingness to share and a willingness to hear and receive, and then identifying what action or advocacy could come out of what's been shared and what's been heard. And so I'm in this space because I have a disability. I'm in this space because I oversee Yale's staff diversity efforts. But I'm in this space largely because if I'm not telling my story, we don't get to educate the community.
Being vulnerable is to really show yourself, to share your personal story. I don't mind being vulnerable. I don't mind sharing my story, but I do mind those pretty looks.
This is a great event for people with all abilities to get insight into the disabled community at Yale University. Fleur Cordier, Ability Media.